Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep into the world of cloud waste, and honestly, it looks less like a tech issue and more like a financial disaster movie.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, the numbers are more than just shocking. They really represent a fundamental disconnect between, engineering goals and the financial reality in most big companies.
Exactly. We are not talking about rounding errors here.
Not at all.
The headline number we saw across the sources. Enterprises are projected to waste a colossal $44.5 billion on cloud infrastructure in 2025.
Billion. It's an incredible number.
And that's 21% of total enterprise cloud spend, just going straight into the void. It's money that's been burned, offering zero value back.
Right. 21% of global cloud spending simply gone. And to help you visualize that wasted money is made up of resources that are provisioned but never really used.
Like idle instances just running 24/7.
Exactly. Or orphaned containers and storage volumes that, nobody remembered to shut down or delete. The core problem here is that this is almost entirely preventable.
So that's really the mission for our deep dive today. We're looking straight at FinOps cloud financial operations, which is the whole discipline created to solve this exact problem.
Hmm.
And we have to ask, why is it failing so spectacularly? The core argument we're pulling from all this data is that this isn't a failure of developers.
No.
It's a profound failure of the system itself. It's all rooted in these visibility black holes and just completely broken workflows.
I think we really need to shift the focus.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to blame individual engineers, but instead we have to analyze the structural, the systemic flaws that make it basically impossible for them to be fiscally responsible, even if they want to be.
Right, even with the best intentions. So let's just nail down the sheer scale of this crisis first. That $44.5 billion is the global number, but when companies look internally, the problem is often way worse.
Oh, absolutely. Nearly half, we're talking 49% of organizations estimate they waste over a quarter of their total cloud budget.
Over 25%.
And it gets scarier. Almost a third of those organizations believe their cloud waste is over 50%.
50%. Think about that. You're telling your CFO that for every dollar you invest in your cutting-edge cloud infrastructure, 50 cents might as well be tossed out the window.
It's just gone before you even use the resource. It's mind-boggling.
It makes you wonder how these businesses stay profitable at all. And we have to zoom in on containers because they're the backbone of modern apps, right?
They are.
And this is where the loss is the most damning. Over 80% of container spend is wasted on idle resources.
80%. That figure just puts a spotlight on the lost efficiency in the most critical part of their tech stack. I mean, modern companies pride themselves on the agility they get from containers, yet 4/5 of that investment is just sitting there idle.
So for you, the listener, this means the very thing that should be delivering peak efficiency is actually your biggest source of financial leakage.
It just reinforces that central claim we're talking about. This level of loss isn't something an individual developer chooses to do. It's a systemic failure.
It's an overwhelming picture. So let's pivot to the why. How does this even happen?
Well, our sources point pretty definitively to what they call the visibility black hole. The simplest explanation is that developers are just flying blind.
Flying blind.
They're being asked to make these complex, incredibly expensive technical decisions, but they just don't have the basic information to make them cost-effective.
And we have the data on exactly what they're missing. It's kind of hard to believe these numbers are real in 2025. For example, only 43% of developers have real-time data showing them which cloud resources are idle right now.
It gets worse. Only 39% of developers can even see the unused or orphaned resources that should have been deleted months ago. They literally can't clean up after themselves.
So those digital ghosts we mentioned are just hanging around, racking up a bill every month.
Precisely. And maybe the most critical gap. Just a third, 33%, of developers have any visibility into whether their workloads are over-provisioned or under-provisioned.
So too much or not enough.
Right. How could you possibly optimize something if you can't even see if you've ordered the right amount in the first place?
This lack of data has a direct, catastrophic financial impact. And here's the number that I think just sums up the chaos. The sources show that 55% of purchasing commitments,
Really big decisions.
the big decisions about what infrastructure to buy, are based on pure guesswork. They're just spinning the wheel.
That 55% figure is just staggering.
Yeah.
It goes back to that analogy one source used, which is so powerful. It's like asking someone to optimize a black box while they're blindfolded.
You can't do it.
You've taken away the tools, you've taken away the feedback loop, yet you still expect perfect cost control. It's an impossible ask. Frankly, it's an operational absurdity.
And on top of that, the cloud providers themselves aren't making it easy. There's this layer of just billing confusion. Half of organizations admit they struggle just to understand the pricing models.
So when the sources can trace 54% of all that waste back to this lack of visibility, it becomes completely illogical to blame the developer. They can't see the financial consequence of what they're doing in real time.
Okay, so the crisis is massive. It's driven by this visibility gap. That brings us to the paradox of FinOps, the very group that's supposed to fix this.
Right. If the problem is so obvious, why isn't FinOps solving it?
Well, the discipline is definitely growing. The data shows 59% of organizations now have dedicated FinOps teams. That's up from 51% the year before, so the idea is taking hold.
It is, but the waste keeps climbing. So what gives?
That's the key question. And the data suggests the problem is structural. Engineering leaders themselves are pointing the finger. 52% of them say the separation between the FinOps team and the developers is the root cause.
It's an organizational silo issue, plain and simple.
It's that classic disconnect, isn't it? The FinOps teams have the cost data. They know what things cost, they track the budget, but the developers have the engineering context.
They know why a certain database was chosen or why a resource buffer was set so high.
And when those two pieces of information, the context and the cost, don't meet at the point of decision, both sides fail. The developer overspends, and FinOps can only report the damage after the fact.
Exactly. And we need to get rid of this tired old idea that developers are lazy or don't care about money. The data clearly shows 62% of them want more control over cloud costs.
They're not the villains here.
No, they're just locked out. They have the desire, but they don't have the tools or the workflows.
And you can see the proof of that lockout in the shockingly low usage of just basic cost optimization practices. This is where we need a little context for you listening.
Let's break some of these down. For example, 71% of developers don't use spot orchestration. Now, this is a mechanism for using leftover cloud capacity at a huge discount.
Like excess inventory.
Exactly. If you're not using it, you're leaving massive piles of cheap computing power on the table.
Then you have right-sizing. 61% of developers don't right-size their instances.
And right-sizing is simple. It's just adjusting the size of a server to match what your application actually needs. If you buy an 8-core server but your app only ever uses 2, you're paying for 6 cores of pure waste.
It's so fundamental.
And the simplest of all, 48%, almost half, don't even shut down idle resources. That's just leaving the lights on in an empty building all weekend. The source is clear. This isn't apathy. It's definitive proof of a missing culture and broken workflows.
Okay, now let's look at the ultimate case study of this whole breakdown, where tiny, rational, individual decisions add up to millions in waste. Kubernetes.
Oh, Kubernetes is absolutely the poster child for overprovisioning. And it's costing companies a fortune.
The numbers are just wild.
They're unbelievable. Average CPU utilization is between 13 and 25%. Memory utilization is between 18 and 35%. That means the typical overprovisioning is 2 to 5 times what's actually needed.
And what does that translate to in dollars?
The sources estimate this costs somewhere between $50,000 and $500,000 a year per cluster.
Per cluster. So why are smart engineers who value efficiency making decisions that lead to that kind of waste?
It all comes down to a rational fear. That's what creates the perverse incentive. The developer sets those massive resource buffers, that 2x to 5x padding, because they want to avoid one thing at all costs.
The OOM killer.
The out-of-memory killer, the thing that instantly crashes their application.
And here's the core aha moment, Rice. It's all about consequence visibility. An OOM crash is loud.
Very loud.
It's immediate, it's noisy, users see errors, alarms go off, it's stressful, it could even be career damaging.
Exactly right. That fear is immediate and visceral. Now contrast that with the alternative, wasting 50 grand in cloud spend.
That's invisible, it's delayed, it shows up 3 weeks later on a spreadsheet somewhere.
And it's seen as someone else's problem. So the immediate high visibility career risking consequence, the crash, trumps the delayed invisible cost consequence every single time.
So it's not malice, it's just risk mitigation. These little just-in-case decisions made by hundreds of developers create this system-wide financial mess because they have no real-time cost feedback.
And that gets to the cultural piece. One report said that when you see 40% of resources are completely untagged, meaning nobody knows who owns them or what they're for, It's not just a tooling issue anymore.
It's a culture issue.
It's a deep cultural issue where cost control just isn't taken seriously.
It's the ultimate organizational shrug. So if the system is broken, the solution has to be systemic. The sources are very clear on where companies need to focus.
Yeah, the shift is all about operationalizing cost awareness. And the starting point is embedding the tools where the developers already work. Cost can't be an afterthought in a monthly meeting.
It has to be right there in their workflow, in the CI/CD pipelines, integrated into their IDEs, on their dashboards.
Right. We saw platforms mentioned like Vantage, Cloud Zero, Harness, Sadai.
Yeah.
But the key is the integration. If a developer checks in code that's going to increase costs by 20%, they need to see that alert before it gets merged,
Not weeks later.
not weeks later. This tool embedding enables the second big shift, shared accountability.
This is from the FinOps Foundation's 2025 framework, right?
It is. It's built around automation, shared accountability, and near real-time cost intelligence.
Which really means a clear division of labor to avoid that silo problem. The central FinOps team handles the big snuff contract negotiations, choosing the cheapest regions.
The strategic decisions, yes.
Yeah.
But the distributed engineering teams have to own the cost of their specific services. And this is the crucial part, that ownership is only possible if they have the tools and the real-time data to manage it.
So FinOps sets the guardrails, but the engineers drive the car.
That's a great way to put it.
And the third and final piece is the cultural shift that ties it all together. The sources are adamant. Cost has to be treated as a first-class metric, the same weight as performance and reliability.
I mean, think about it. Developers live by metrics like latency and error rates. If they can see a latency spike instantly in their dashboard, they must be able to see the cost impact of their choices just as instantly.
Until cost is an engineering metric like speed and uptime, the problem will just keep going.
It will.
So when we pull it all together, the conclusion is pretty unavoidable. This $44.5 billion crisis is a failure of platforms, of tools, and of culture. It's not a failure of developer intent.
No. They want to be good stewards of the company's money, but they can't operate with pure guesswork and zero visibility inside these broken, siloed workflows.
But the good news here is that solving this unlocks tremendous value. Organizations that actually fix the system can reduce that waste by 20 to 30%.
And that's a massive amount of free capital that can be funneled directly into innovation instead of, being dumped into idle servers.
And developers are ready for this. A huge 86% of them believe AI tools can help automate and optimize costs within the next year. So the appetite for smarter solutions is definitely there.
So we'll leave you with this provocative thought. It builds on that core idea that cost must become a first-class metric, just like latency, requiring real-time optimization.
So if your job now requires you to instantly monitor and optimize the financial ledger of your application in the same way you monitor its performance, consider this. Is the future software engineer effectively becoming a part-time chief financial officer for their own specific service?
And what new skills will you need as that line between development and finance continues to merge in real time?